appreciate everyone again logging into our weekly PPACA webinar. You know, as the days go on, each week it amazes me that we still have so many moving parts and so many things to actually discuss each week, some new things. So, you know, I think that, you know, again, we'll continue doing these as long as there's something to talk about. Just on a quick note, there was information today that came out that said that the Governor Corbett is going to be giving a speech today about the expansion of Medicaid in Pennsylvania. So obviously we'll keep our ears to the grindstone, or nose to the grindstone, and find out what's going on with that expansion of Medicaid. But for our agenda today, we do have a lot of submitted questions, but I wanted to, you know, as much as the healthcare.gov site has really been a negative for all of us up until this point, I did want to at least highlight some of the new features that are on the healthcare.gov site today, because I do think that it's going to help all of us. I'm not saying the site is perfect by any means, because it's not, but it is at least working relatively well outside of some issues which we'll talk about in a few minutes. But as you can see from the home page of healthcare.gov, you can go in here and see if you can. This is actually the Kaiser Family Foundation subsidy estimator, which you all should have. It's been in my newsletters all along, but it can be obtained from this site as well. This is the real key that I just think is the most useful part at this point for us to all use. If you can see, you're going to get a quote, and let's just, for example, say that you're looking for coverage for yourself and your family, health coverage. You can now actually pick a state. You can pick the county in which your clients reside, and you can actually change the actual ages. So you can get valid quotes, accurate quotes, based on the information that you input into the system. We're just going to do an example here. So this is a family of 4 with 2 children, 41, 40 parents, and then 5 and 9-year-old children. We are quoting it for Dauphin County, again, health coverage. If you click on this, it's going to bring up all of the plans that are available in that respective county. And I know this seems like, well, gee, why is this such a big thing? But at this point, with our EBIC system being slowly updated, with the healthcare.gov site previously not showing these rates, it's really been a piecemeal, just trying to get rates together for our agent partners. And this has really been a pretty good tool since Monday that we can use. So I assume that you will be using this as well, or of course, you know, still calling into your case managers, Jesse and Judy. But the real gem of all of this is, like, you know, you can see the plan details. You can just highlight certain plans that you want to see. But if you click on any particular detail, you're going to be able to bring up an SBC for that particular plan. Oh, that's going to give you a choice of your SBC for Highmark. Plan brochure, provider directory, and list of covered drugs, the formulary. So I think that's a real useful tool, and I at least wanted to share that information so that you at least have another outlet, you know, one outlet in which you can get these rates. Again, we can certainly help you with this. We're hopefully, you know by now, definitely willing to do this, but I just think it's a good tool that you can keep in your back pocket. So that being said, let's get to the actual webinar agenda. We already went over healthcare.gov and some of the new features, or at least the one new feature that is now available. But I do want to let you know that I have actually, with 2 different agent partners, been able to enroll a client from start to finish on healthcare.gov, create an account. The email is sent to the consumer. We then click on that to verify that it was us that made the account, or them that made the account, and then they can go right into the enrollment process. And again, the enrollment process is really just getting them into the system so that the health insurance marketplace can make the subsidy determination. So that part goes pretty smoothly, knock on wood, all of us. And then at that point, once the application is submitted, you should immediately be able to view the subsidy determination. And that's typically a 12-page report that talks about, you know, what they need to do to claim it, how much they're eligible for, and you can actually then click and view the plans. When you click and view the plans, the rates are going to reflect the subsidy that they are eligible for. So the rates that you see will actually include, be reduced by the, you know, equal to the amount of the subsidy. Then you can review the plans and click Enroll on healthcare.gov and go through the system. Once you hit Enroll, you can actually, your client would be able to make the determination if they want to use all of the subsidy, a portion of the subsidy, or none of the subsidy, but claim it on their taxes when they file their taxes for 2014. Let's just assume, for an example, that they're claiming all of the subsidy, and then they can actually enroll in the plan. There are still issues with the payment portion, and the payment portion is not working. So what we've been recommending is just printing that screen that shows the confirmation that they enrolled in a plan with the premium, and have them mail the check directly into their chosen carrier. I know it sounds a little bit convoluted, but at this point, unfortunately, there's no way to give you a live example of how the system works, because the information that would be input would have to be bogus information, because if it were live information, it would have a lot of personal health information, and we can't do that. But I would encourage you, if you do have a client that wants to sign up, that you contact me or try healthcare.gov. You know, my schedule, obviously, like yours, is pretty tight, but if you want to do a 3-way webinar with your client and yourself to enroll on healthcare.gov, I am willing to do that as well. You know, again, the need is great out there, and we're just trying to get as many people through that want to get through as we can, in spite of all of the challenges with the system. Having said that, when you do get somebody through, you know, previously we did all over the phone applications with the health insurance marketplace, and that seemed to work relatively well. You know, again, in spite of some of the issues with the health insurance marketplace, people saying that they couldn't take the agent information, or that the information was not being transmitted through the 834 reporting. So I think, as a safeguard, from talking to most of the carriers, it does seem that they are at least willing to entertain a broker of record letter or some sort of documentation that the client that has applied for their particular health plan with that particular carrier has to be geared towards you. So in the group market, we're all familiar with the broker of record letters. I would suggest that you document as much as you can, and if at all possible, have your clients write a quick note saying that you are the broker of record on their particular case. And what I'm going to do is maybe, once I get more direction from the carriers, is come up with a template for you to use. In the meantime, you can use Appendix C, which is kind of a safeguard. And Appendix C is available on the application. It's the last page of the application. This information on the top is the authorized representative, even though you're not necessarily an authorized representative by their definition, I do suggest that you become an authorized representative because it certainly won't hurt. And then this, of course, this information is all about you. If you look up top at the ID number requested on the authorized representative, this ID number is, of course, your federally facilitated marketplace user ID. And again, that is the username that you created when you went into marketplace.medicarelearningnetworklms.com to take your training curriculum. Down below, this is the application start date, your first name, middle, last. Organization name does not need to be entered. If you want to put URL insurance group in there, you can, but that's kind of just a nonsensical request there on the form. Again, this ID number is the FFM ID, and this is your NPN number, your national producer number. So hopefully that helps too. But I would, again, encourage you to document everything so that we can get ahead and stay ahead of some of the issues that we may have when commissions are starting to be paid. Last week, right before the Thanksgiving holiday, Wednesday, as a matter of fact, there was a new delay that came out from the government, and that delay was the SHOP delay for the Small Health Options portal. And that's for small businesses in Pennsylvania, 50 and below, full-time equivalents. And that the SHOP exchange is the only place that you could claim the small business tax credit for those employers that fall within the guidelines of the small business tax credit. So the SHOP IT system, the internet system, online portal has been delayed. However, you as an agent can still make application for your small group clients on a SHOP plan, but it would be direct with the carrier. So we are still waiting for definitive information from the carriers, but at this point, the SHOP portal has been delayed, but it appears that you will be able to get quotes for the SHOP program, make application through the carrier with your help, and then they can then, the small business owners can then claim that small business tax credit if they are qualified. So again, that's a moving target, and we'll get more information as things proceed, but for your small business group quotes, you can contact Elise Wilkinson here in our office at extension 114 or John Reel at extension 118, and they can help you with the SHOP quotes. At this point, we're going to get into the submitted questions, and I have quite a few, so I will go through those. Dana asked where you sign off on the attestation. Again, on that Appendix C, you can just have your client sign and date the Appendix C or complete the a broker of record letter. There's a question from Jules. He says he has a client who is very likely to qualify for a subsidy. What should his best procedure be? Should he look online to see what choices seem appropriate for them and give them a link so they can access the information themselves? And I would say that you can, but you can certainly direct them, Jules, to healthcare.gov, but you're going to have to make sure that you give them a copy of the Appendix C so that they have your information to enter on the site, because on the site there is a place where it asks if they are working with somebody to help them with the application. One of the choices is an agent and broker, and when you click on the agent broker icon, then it will ask for the information, and they're going to have to know your full name, your FFM user ID, and your national producer number in order for you to get credit. So at this point, that seems to be the quickest way to get these people to, secure coverage for 1-1, but there is still the over-the-phone application process that can work, and has worked for at least the last 6-7 weeks. And that information, Jules, is in all of our newsletters, but I will send that information to you separately just so you have it. And the next question is, if someone looks unlikely to qualify for a subsidy, what would be my best procedure? And I would say that if somebody is not going to get a subsidy, then there's really no reason to make application within the exchange. If you feel that, or if they feel that their income may change significantly, drop significantly in 2014, then even if they don't qualify now, they may want to make application through the exchange in order to claim that subsidy when they do become available or eligible. So I would say, you know, for the most part, if they are not going to qualify for a subsidy, if they know they're not going to add to their family through a pregnancy in 2014 or have a significant drop in their income, then I would say it's business as usual. You can take a paper app, send it in to us, and we'll process it as we do now. Next question is one that I've been getting a lot of, and in light of the governor's speech today, when we find out what's going on with the expansion of Medicaid in the state of Pennsylvania, Brian asks, is it true that those those with the FPL less than federal poverty level less than 138% will not be eligible for a subsidy? And that's not correct. Well, let me just say, if our state does not expand Medicaid, then people from 100% to 400% would be able to qualify for the advanced premium tax credit, the premium subsidies. If our state expands Medicaid, then those under 138% will then be forced into the Medicaid system, as opposed to going through healthcare.gov and receiving an advanced premium tax credit. So again, you know, it's a moving target, and at this point, we'll know something hopefully more today. But for right now, the state has not expanded Medicaid. Those between 100 and 400 will qualify for the advanced premium tax credit. And George asks, can we enroll a client directly with Highmark and qualify them for a subsidy? The media says this is possible. Is it? And the answer to that is no. And I've been getting a lot of questions on that as well. At this point, the carriers do not have the direct enrollment for individuals to enroll on healthcare.gov and claim that subsidy if they go directly to the carrier, even if you're involved. Again, that's different on the group side, but for the individual, at this point, the only way to claim that subsidy is not through the carriers. It is through healthcare.gov, through one means or another. Andre asks a question, when will the healthcare.gov site be working? Well, that's the trillion-dollar question. And you know, you can see how it's at least working at this point. So I would encourage you to try it. And let me see here. If agents can't get on the site, what are they supposed to do? And no question certainly is too basic, Andre. I would suggest if the website is not working, and it happens, that you utilize the paper application process. And I will send that to you as well, just so you have that in your inbox. Britt asks the question, can one spouse apply for a different plan than another spouse under the PPACA law? Spouse 1 has significant health problems and wants the rich benefit, and spouse 2 has no health issues. Can they buy 2 separate policies? And what happens if they have kids? Can the ACA issue a policy for a single deductible and the spouse with kids have a family deductible? And that would put the total family out of pocket over the limit. That's a really good question about the total family out of pocket over the limit. I'll have to check on that further, Britt, but I can tell you, at least for the beginning part of your question, there is a way, supposedly, this is one of the the portions of the site that does not work, where you can make application, you can register a husband and wife on one account. They'd have their joint income because it's a joint, they file jointly. And then when you get through the identity information and get ready to choose the health plan, there is a way that you can group each spouse in a different group so that they can choose a separate plan. However, again, that part of the system's not working. So the workaround at this point, if you want to offer 2 separate plans, is to go in and unfortunately create 2 accounts, one for the spouse, one for the husband. Again, I'm not sure about the family out-of-pocket being over the $12,700, but I will check on that and give you an update next week. Chris asks the question. He says his question is twofold. His girlfriend lives with him, and they both have the same physical address as the legal residence. And they want to know he wants to know if she would have to be included in income in addition to hers to see if she's eligible for a subsidy. He says also that his 3 kids live with them part-time, and their mother part-time, who lists her address as a primary residence. So how would household size be determined in this scenario? And healthcare.gov put out a form, and I've included that in my newsletter. Chris, I'll get this to you just so you have it. But the way it reads, household size and household income are 2 different calculations. So household size, when you're reporting on your household and filling out the application, you need to include yourself, your spouse, your children who live with you, even if they make enough money to file a tax return, your unmarried partner who needs health coverage, anyone you include on your tax return as a dependent, even if they don't live with you, and that's an IRS dependent, and anyone else under 21 who you take care of and lives with you. You're not to include your unmarried partner who doesn't need health coverage and is not your dependent, or your unmarried partner's children if they are not your dependents. You don't have to include your parents who live with you but file their own tax returns and are not your dependents, or other relatives who file their own tax returns and are not your dependents. So in this situation, as far as you and your girlfriend, it would basically be, if she needs health insurance, that's going to be a determination on your household size. Also, your children, if who's claiming them as the dependent, either yourself or their mother. So household size is kind of a moving target, as all things are. And then as far as estimating the income, the household income, you are to include you and your spouse if you are married and will file a joint tax return, and any dependents, again, an IRS dependent who make enough money, any dependents who make enough money to be required to file a tax return. And for each of those, you're supposed to include wages, salaries, tips, the net income from any self-employment, any unemployment compensation, Social Security payments, including DI payments, but not SSI, alimony. Other items are retirement income, investment income, pension, rental income, and other taxable income such as prizes, awards, and gambling. So, again, it's Chris, I'd have to talk to you maybe offline to see exactly how it works, but I'll send you that information on how to calculate, and that may answer the question in and of itself. Nothing's easy here, right? And those appear to be all of the questions that were submitted. If you do have a question, again, you can raise your hand or you can type in the question to the right of your screen in the question box. So I'm going to get to, well, we have a lot of questions submitted too. All right, Brian says, when someone does their taxes for 2014 and their income could have qualified for a tax credit, but they did not apply for coverage through the exchange to get the advanced credit, can they still get a credit at tax time? And Brian, the answer to that at this point is no. they have to filter through healthcare.gov in some fashion in order to claim that tax credit. Tracy says, NEPA has been turning around and sending the bill to the client within 5 days. She has approximately 6 people enrolled and confirmed for a 1/1/2014 start date. And that's, Tracy, you're like a powerhouse because I've seen what you've been doing, and I don't know, who you paid off, but from the beginning you've been very successful in registering people on healthcare.gov. So I want to know your secrets, but knock on wood, it's been working for us, at least as of this week. And she also asks if agents are still not showing up as agent of records on the 834 reporting. And I did confirm with the carriers that the 834 reporting now does include the agent information if it's been input into the system, so that's a real positive. But again, I can't say that that's a smooth working process at this point. So again, document, document, document. I really do think that it's going to come down to getting a broker of record letter in some sort of fashion. So you may want to start thinking about that for clients that you have enrolled from the very beginning, either over the phone or through healthcare.gov. Brent asks if CMS Enterprise Portal is working at all, and the answer to that is no. It's not been working for quite some time. I don't know what the resolution to that is, Brent. Many of our agents have done the certification but have not been able to do step 2, which is registering on portal.cms.gov. I would say continue to try, but at this point, if you're certified, you're licensed with the carrier has your certification module or your training module certificates, then that's all you can do at this point if you cannot get into that portal.cms.gov. And again, I really do think that carriers are going to be willing to work with us outside of their normal processes to rectify some of these issues with the agent reporting. And Tracy asks the question that we've been getting since 10/1. I hate to keep asking, she says, but do you know what the commission structure is yet for Blue Cross of Northeastern PA? And I'll just add Geisinger to that. And the answer to that is no. NEPA said that the information should be out this week. So let's cross our fingers and hope we, one, get the information and that it's a good comp for you guys and for us for that matter. And Geisinger, it does appear that they have come up with a commission structure, but again, last I talked to them, it was still in the hands of the CFO, so everybody else had signed off on the commission. So it does look like commissions will be paid. What that means, again, I don't know, but we're hoping to get information soon. Bob asks, are the networks the same? Any significant differences in premium? Bob, that's kind of a twofold question because the networks for, well, let me back up. For the carriers that have the same plans inside the exchange as outside, the rates are the same. Their family of plans, for instance, with Highmark Blue Shield and Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, if you're looking at a community blue plan, that is a different network than the broad network plan, but it is the same. It's the same community blue network inside the exchange as outside. It's the same broad network inside as outside. So I hope that answers your question. And as far as the premiums, there is no difference in the base premium of the health plans that are the same inside and outside the network. So, you know, the difference would be if they go into healthcare.gov and receive a premium subsidy, obviously the premium would be less, but the base rates are the same. And for those carriers such as Capital Blue Cross that have different plans inside and outside, then obviously networks change inside and out and also premiums. And Dana asks, if your client's app is hung up on the website, should they start a new one, and does it require that they complete an entirely new application? Dana, I would say that it really depends on how it's hung up, why it's hung up. Is it an appeal process? Is it just something that they've not received their subsidy determination yet? So maybe we can talk offline on that, and I'll give you a call, and we can discuss it. And George says that he's had clients that have gone to healthcare.gov, but they've run into a lot of problems. I wonder if he should even get involved, since they apparently already opened an account. Will Appendix C help me now, or is it too late? Technically, Appendix C will not help you now if they've already created an account and did not enter your information. However, if they've created an account and tried to enter your information and it just didn't stick, then the Appendix C should help you. So take that as interpret that how you want. And Bob asks, can we do the subsidy and/or tax credits after app submission? I'm not really sure what you're asking about, Bob, but if the app submission, either through healthcare.gov or over the phone to the health insurance marketplace worker, the app that you're submitting is really just getting them into the system. After the app is submitted, the subsidy determination and your plan choices come into play. But it all has to trigger through the healthcare.gov system or the HIM workers. And George asks, can we access Luzerne County through Highmark ACA plans? And Luzerne is, I believe, NEPA territory, and they do have plans both on and off the exchange. So that information, George, is on our site. It's also, that's one of the carriers that is updated in our EBIX quoting portal. And Tracy says, what will happen if the client is enrolled in confirmed with a plan and they are at 103 FPL and the governor expands the Medicaid program? Will the client lose their ACA choice? I have no idea, Tracy, and I thought of that this morning as well, because there are still a significant amount of people that have registered. So I'm not sure of the answer, but I'm hoping that when they do announce whatever their decision is, that they will have a fix for that. And Tim says, how do we handle a person that does not have an email address? They don't deal with the internet. Tim, I would suggest maybe creating an email address that you can access. You know, there's a lot of ways to add an email to your existing account, and as long as you have access to it, you only need it when you register so that you can verify that you are the person or your client is the person that created the account. But only one email can be used for each creation of an account. So you can't use your work email or your business email, your personal email, but you know, you can create another Gmail account or Comcast account email within your account. So hopefully that answers that. And Mike asks, open enrollment closes 3/31/2014 for a 5/1/14 effective date. What allows individuals to apply after that date? And what allows an individual to apply after that date is a qualifying event, such as they lose their group health insurance, their current health plan that is medically underwritten, renews, and the only option is upon renewal in 14 is to choose an ACA plan. They get married, they change income, they increase the size of their family. There are several qualifying events, and I am making myself a note. I will get that information out to you, Mike, but I will also try to include that in, if not in this newsletter, then in next week. George says that, can they cover their cat and dog? How is that calculated? I was told that cats and dogs can also be covered under PPACA. No, I'm not sure if that's a joke, but I can tell you that I'm sure there are people that can create bogus information on anything and get an account, but even though entering the Social Security number is optional, it's still going to trigger back to verification of that income. So again, Kathy asks, people with pre-existing conditions can get off marketplace, can get off market plans, or do they have to go on healthcare.gov? That's a good question, Kathy, because that seems to be a little confusing still to some. And the answer to that is any plan sold, any new plan sold after 1/1 of 2014, whether it's on the exchange or off the exchange, is community rated, guaranteed issue, no pre-existing, has all the essential health benefits. So the plans, again, are the same. There's no medical underwriting. The only thing that a person can be rated up for is tobacco use. And, again, the only difference is that if they qualify for a subsidy, they need to go through healthcare.gov or the health insurance marketplace. Frank says, income to calculate subsidy, does it also include non-taxable Social Security? And it does. It says that part of the wages are Social Security payments, including disability payments, but not SSI. So the answer to that is yes. And Abby says that she has a small group who wanted to know if they could choose to drop their group coverage in the middle of the year and go on the exchange. Actually, Abby, they can. Dropping or dissolving group health coverage is a qualifying event. So, yes, they can indeed do that. All right, so that brings us to the end of the questions. One more came in. Do you have any experience with hospitals, third-party payers that may be paying premiums for low-income individuals that need surgeries right away and can't afford the premium? Rod, I have no information on that. I don't know if that's a practice that's going on out there, but I've not heard of that at all. Tracy says that the healthcare.gov site has gotten a lot better. It will recognize the Social Security number to name, and if it does not match correctly, it will not give you the tax credit information. It will ask for proof. The uploaded link is not working. The upload link is not working, so you would need to send a hard copy to the Kentucky address of the documentation of your income. And that's part of the subsidy determination. If a person does qualify for a subsidy, within that 12-page document, there is a request for information to be sent, such as pay stubs, wages, tax documents, and they give a date that needs to be submitted by. For example, there was an app that we did yesterday, and for a 1/1, and the information on her income needed to be sent in by March 4th. So there is some time, but it does specifically address what you need to do next as far as documentation. And that brings us to the end of the questions. I really appreciate, again, all of your participation in this, your great questions. Certainly it helps me learn. It helps me know what's going on out there on the front lines, if you will. Again, we'll have these weekly webinars for as long as you find that they are helpful. And in that vein, next webinar is Thursday, December 12th at 9:30. So I hope to see you then. In the meantime, I hope you have a great week. And if you have any questions, certainly don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thanks again, and have a great day.